Most people wake up every morning waiting for something or someone to light a fire under them. They scroll through motivational quotes, watch inspiring videos, or wait for their boss, their partner, or their circumstances to give them the push they need to take action. Meanwhile, there's a small group of individuals who operate from a completely different paradigm. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create it from within, on demand, every single day. These people aren't superhuman, and they weren't born with some special gene that you lack. They simply discovered something that changes everything. True power comes from internal drive, not external circumstances. They stopped asking, "How can I get motivated?" and started asking, "How can I become the source of my own energy?" The difference between living at the mercy of external motivation and living from internal power isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about understanding that motivation is not something that happens to you. It's something you generate from within you. And today, we're going to reveal exactly how they do it. Think about the last time you felt genuinely energized about something. Not because someone told you to be excited, but because something inside you just knew this was important. That wasn't luck or a random burst of enthusiasm. That was you accessing your natural state of internal motivation, the driving force that exists beneath all the noise and distractions that typically pull you off course. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button, and if you're ready to stop depending on external motivation and start generating unlimited drive from within, write in the comments, "I choose internal power today." This isn't just a comment. It's your declaration that you're done waiting for the world to motivate you. Here's what most people don't realize about external motivation. It's designed to fail. Every motivational video, every inspiring speech, every pump-up session gives you a temporary high that inevitably crashes, leaving you exactly where you started, waiting for the next fix. External motivation is like sugar for your drive system. It gives you a quick spike of energy, followed by an inevitable crash that leaves you more depleted than before. This creates what psychologists call motivation addiction, the endless cycle of seeking external sources to fuel internal action. Watch people in any office, gym, or social setting, and you'll notice something disturbing. Most of them are operating like phones with dying batteries, constantly searching for the next charging station. They need their morning coffee ritual, their motivational podcast, their accountability partner, or their fear of consequences just to function at a basic level. But here's what's really happening. Every time you rely on external motivation, you're actually training your brain that you don't have the internal resources to generate drive on your own. You're programming yourself to be dependent, reactive, and ultimately powerless over your own energy states. The people who never need external motivation understand something fundamental. Motivation is not a feeling you wait for, it's a skill you develop. They don't hope inspiration will strike, they know exactly how to create the internal conditions that generate unstoppable drive regardless of their circumstances. This shift in understanding changes everything. Instead of being at the mercy of your mood, your environment, or other people's energy, you become the master of your own motivational state. Instead of waiting for Monday morning or New Year's resolutions or the perfect moment, you learn to access peak drive states whenever you choose. The most successful people in any field share this common trait. They've learned to generate their own fuel. They don't need external validation, external pressure, or external rewards to take massive action toward their goals. They've discovered the internal source of unlimited energy that's available to every human being, but accessed by very few. Recent advances in neuroscience have revealed exactly what happens in the brains of self-motivated people, and the findings are revolutionary. Dr. Edward Deci and Dr. Richard Ryan's research on self-determination theory shows that humans have three basic psychological needs that, when fulfilled, create intrinsic motivation that never runs out. First is autonomy, the feeling that you're acting from your own will rather than external pressure. When you choose your goals based on your authentic values instead of society's expectations, your brain releases a steady stream of motivating neurochemicals. This isn't the artificial high of external rewards, it's the sustainable energy of aligned action. Second is competence, the sense that you're growing and improving in meaningful ways. Self-motivated people have learned to structure their goals so they experience regular wins and continuous learning. Their brains literally rewire to seek challenge and growth instead of comfort and stagnation. Third is connection, feeling that your actions contribute to something larger than yourself. This doesn't mean you need to save the world. It means connecting your daily actions to your deeper purpose and values. When your brain understands why something matters, it generates motivation automatically. Brain imaging studies reveal something fascinating. People who operate from intrinsic motivation show increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for self-direction and long-term planning. Meanwhile, their limbic system, which processes fear and stress, becomes less reactive. They literally think and feel differently than people dependent on external motivation. The breakthrough discovery is that these neural patterns can be developed through specific practices. Dr. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's research on flow states demonstrates that when you learn to align your actions with your intrinsic motivations, you enter states of effortless focus where motivation isn't even needed. Action becomes naturally compelling. What makes this research game-changing is that it proves motivation isn't a personality trait you're born with or without. It's a learnable skill based on how you structure your relationship
with goals, growth, and purpose. When you understand these principles, you can literally rewire your brain to generate unlimited drive from within. Self-motivated people operate from what we might call an internal motivation system, a framework that generates drive independently of external circumstances. This system has 4 core components that work together to create unstoppable momentum. Component 1, value clarity. Instead of chasing goals that society, family, or social media tell them to want, internally motivated people have done the deep work of identifying what actually matters to them. They've asked themselves, if no one was watching, if no one would judge, if there were no external rewards, what would I still feel compelled to pursue? This clarity becomes their internal compass. Component 2, growth orientation. Rather than being driven by the need to prove themselves to others, they're driven by the desire to improve themselves for themselves. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to expand their capabilities. Every setback becomes data for refinement. They've shifted from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset at the neural level. Component 3, process focus. While most people fixate on outcomes they can't control, self-motivated individuals fall in love with the processes they can control. They find satisfaction in showing up consistently, in refining their craft, in doing excellent work regardless of immediate results. This creates a renewable source of motivation that doesn't depend on external validation. Component 4, purpose integration. They've connected their daily actions to a larger meaning that transcends personal benefit. This doesn't require grand gestures or world-changing missions. It simply means understanding how their work contributes to something they genuinely care about. This connection transforms routine tasks into meaningful contributions. When these 4 components align, something remarkable happens. Action becomes self-sustaining. You don't need to motivate yourself because your activities naturally generate energy rather than depleting it. You stop procrastinating because you're drawn toward your work rather than pushing yourself through it. The beauty of this system is that it's completely internal. It doesn't depend on other people's approval, perfect circumstances, or external rewards. Once you build it, you carry your own motivation with you wherever you go. This is why some people can maintain consistency through difficult circumstances, while others fall apart at the first sign of resistance. It's not about willpower or discipline, it's about having an internal system that generates drive automatically. Building your internal motivation system doesn't require complex techniques or years of practice. It requires specific, actionable strategies that you can implement immediately. Here are the most powerful methods used by people who never need external motivation. The values audit. Start by conducting a brutal honesty assessment of your current goals. Write down everything you're currently pursuing or feel you should pursue. Then ask yourself, am I doing this because I genuinely value it or because someone else expects it of me? Eliminate or modify goals that are driven primarily by external expectations. This single practice will free up enormous mental energy. The progress protocol. Instead of measuring success only by major outcomes, create systems to track micro improvements daily. Self-motivated people celebrate getting 1% better rather than waiting for dramatic transformations. They understand that the brain releases motivation-sustaining neurochemicals when it perceives consistent progress, no matter how small. The challenge calibration. Design your goals to exist in what psychologists call the challenge sweet spot, difficult enough to require growth, but achievable enough to maintain momentum. Most people either choose goals so easy they're boring or so difficult they're overwhelming. Neither generates sustainable motivation. The purpose connection practice. Every week, spend time reflecting on how your current activities connect to something larger than immediate personal gain. This might be the impact on your family, your community, or your future self. Write these connections explicitly. Your brain needs to consciously understand the why to generate consistent drive. The energy audit. Pay attention to which activities naturally energize you versus drain you. Self-motivated people structure their lives around energy-giving activities and systematically eliminate or redesign energy-draining ones. They understand that motivation flows naturally when you're working with your natural energy patterns rather than against them. The internal scorecard. Instead of measuring your worth by external metrics like social media likes, salary comparisons, or other people's opinions, develop internal metrics based on your values and growth. Track things like, did I act with integrity today? Did I learn something new? Did I contribute to something meaningful? This builds motivation that can't be taken away by external circumstances. These aren't one-time exercises. They're ongoing practices that gradually build your capacity for self-generated drive. The more you use them, the less you'll need external sources of motivation because you'll have developed the internal infrastructure to create unlimited energy on demand. When you consistently apply these principles, you'll notice a profound shift in how you relate to action and achievement. The transformation happens in stages, and understanding these stages helps you stay committed to the process. Stage 1. Recognition. You begin noticing how much of your current drive depends on external factors. This awareness can initially feel uncomfortable because it reveals how much power you've been giving away, but it's the essential first step toward reclaiming your internal authority.
Stage 2. Experimentation. You start testing the techniques we've discussed and discover that you actually can generate motivation from within. These early successes prove to your brain that internal drive is possible, creating positive momentum for deeper changes. Stage 3. Integration. The practices become natural parts of your daily routine. You no longer need to force yourself to clarify values or track progress. These behaviors become automatic. Your internal motivation system starts running in the background of your consciousness. Stage 4. Embodiment. You become someone who naturally generates drive from within. People around you start noticing your consistent energy and asking what's different about you. You realize you haven't needed external motivation in weeks or months because you've developed reliable internal sources. Stage 5. Overflow.
Your internal motivation becomes so abundant that it naturally inspires others. You become a source of authentic energy rather than someone who drains energy from others. This creates positive feedback loops that further strengthen your internal system. The most profound aspect of this transformation is that it's irreversible. Once you truly understand how to generate motivation from within, you can't go back to being completely dependent on external sources. You fundamentally changed your relationship with action and achievement. This doesn't mean you'll never benefit from external inspiration or support. It means you'll no longer be controlled by the absence of these things. You become internally resourceful and externally flexible. The secret of people who never need external motivation isn't that they feel motivated all the time. It's that they've learned to generate the internal conditions that make action feel natural and compelling. They've stopped waiting for the world to give them energy and started creating their own unlimited supply. This transformation is available to you starting today. Not next Monday, not when your circumstances improve, not when you feel ready. Today. Every moment you spend waiting for external motivation to strike is a moment you could be building your internal motivation system. The techniques we've explored aren't theory, they're practical tools that create measurable changes in how your brain processes goals, challenges, and achievements. When you commit to building your internal motivation system, you're not just changing your productivity, you're reclaiming your personal power. Remember, the people who achieve extraordinary things aren't the ones who feel motivated more often. They're the ones who've learned to take meaningful action regardless of how they feel. They've developed the internal infrastructure to generate drive on demand, which makes them unstoppable in pursuing what truly matters to them. Your journey toward internal motivation begins with a simple decision. Will you continue depending on the world to energize you, or will you become the source of your own unlimited drive? Will you keep waiting for perfect conditions, or will you start building your motivation system with the conditions you have right now? The choice is yours, but remember, every day you delay is another day of remaining dependent on forces beyond your control. The world needs people who are internally motivated, who lead by example, who demonstrate what's possible when you stop waiting and start generating your own power. You have everything you need to begin this transformation. You know exactly what to do to start building your internal motivation system. The only question remaining is, will you choose to become unstoppable, or will you continue waiting for something external to make you powerful? Today isn't just another day in your life. It's the day you stop needing anyone or anything to motivate you. The day you become the source of your own unlimited energy. Are you ready to claim that power?